So while there are questions about the government's performance on all these fronts, Damien, there's also questions about why the air traffic controllers can't keep the planes moving on time, and whether it's all the fault of the sequester or whether it's all been trumped up by the sequester's enemies who want to make a point. And it might get fixed, right? There might actually be changes here.
It seems like it's amazing that after just a couple of days, I think both sides realize that this is going to be a nightmare if we get to Memorial Day or the 4th of July and folks are waiting 3 hours to get on a plane. And so, you know, the White House had been really hesitant to address any agency in a piece-by-piece manner from the sequester, but they realize the FAA is so much bad publicity that they need to do something. You know, it's a lot easier to say we want to do something than to actually do something, so we're going to have to see how long this takes to play out. But you definitely, it was immediate. I mean, these things only went into place on Sunday, and it hasn't been online at every airport, but the few that they that have seen some
But, you know, on the one hand, the FAA has been warning since February this was going to happen. So people shouldn't be surprised that it does happen. On the other hand, it's still hard to figure out whether they could have handled this differently to make the sequester cuts come down less hard on travelers, or whether they were forced into this.
I mean, you know, it's a great question. They're saying, hey, you know, we're talking Mondays and Tuesdays in April. These aren't peak travel times. We're trying to front load these as much as we can now so that we have more flexibility in the summer.
In the summer when there's really heavy travel.
But I think you're already seeing, I mean, I was at a breakfast with John McCain this morning, and you're already seeing some of this backlash to, like, let's single out the FAA and make all the travelers super happy, because he's saying, look, the defense community is complaining that you are making it more difficult to defend our country, but we're more concerned about people who have to wait in line for 2 hours to get on their flight. Like, how screwed up are our priorities?
I've heard people say, well, so we're not going to do something to change the effect of the sequester for cancer patients or people who are in childhood nutrition programs. We're going to take care of people at airports because they're politically potent and they squawk a lot.
Right, and keep in mind, I mean, even on a good day, there are long lines at certain airports. I mean, LA, Orlando, there's a bunch of airports that are perennial problems for TSA.
And particularly foreign travelers who have
to exactly.
Well,
and so this really does not fix that.
Right. Well, and who verifies? I mean, if your pilot gets on the speaker and says we're going to be circling the airport for the next 45 minutes because of the sequester, like how do you know it's a sequester and not someone who screwed up on ground control? And they're doing that.
They're doing that a lot.
And so I think it's like, is it really the sequester, or is the airline just giving you an excuse so that you don't?
Well, it gets the airline off the hook, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But there is a deeper underlying reality here, which is that some people in the budget game in Washington said, look, I guarantee you by the summer, sequester is going to be painful, and it'll create an opening to rethink the budget and the big deal to reduce the deficit in a smarter way. Maybe this is the first step down that path.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, so last year and the year before that, the president was kind of swinging for the fences on the budget. You know, he wanted a home run deal, you know, big blockbuster kind of legacy type thing. Now we're seeing lots of bunt singles. They're just trying to have meetings and dinners and slowly get folks to the table. And so, you know, Republicans are open to that right now. They want to sit down and they want to have a conversation too. They haven't put the pen to paper yet.
But the lesson of the last couple of years in Washington is that a shock is needed to make anything happen. Maybe this is the beginning of the shock.
That's right. I mean, it's right now, though, it's just sort of annoying. And it's not annoying all travelers, right? It's getting a lot of attention, and it's been a big headache in New York and Miami. If we do get into the summer, though, and folks are just not going on vacation, or they're just going to drive, and it's going to have a real economic impact, then you're really going to start seeing some.
Well, something tells. So go ahead.
I was going to say, but you can see the Obama administration is already kind of changing its tactics here, because last night the Justice Department released a letter that they had exchanged with members on the Hill, basically advising them that they're not going to do furloughs. This is something that Eric Holder and others have been warning about repeatedly, saying, you know, we're going to have to lay off or put furlough to FBI agents. In light of Boston, I'm sure that this is a conversation
which
that they
makes it awkward for the FAA, because if the Justice Department can figure out a way to do it, why can't the FAA?
Right.
That's
the
what's
Justice Department is
people.
basically saying that we're going to reprogram money that we hadn't spent.
I kind of think all these issues are going to be with us next week again. Bombings, furloughs, budget, immigration. We'll be here to talk about it on Seib and Wessel. Hope you'll join us. Meantime, you can join the conversation on Twitter at #WSJLive. I'm Jerry Seib.